Yeah, about the 3 days water fast. Let me land this aircraft and I'll get back to you.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Welcome to the island of Phuket. This time I had a chance to have a layover here for 24 hours. We came from Taipei and tonight we're flying back to Saigon. So the 3 days water fast, it means not consuming anything, any food for 72 hours except for tea, coffee and water. That's as simple as it is. But why would anybody do this? It allows the body to switch its energy consumption from the food we just take under the form of sugar to another form of energy that we have in our body and under the form of fat. This simple switch comes also with plenty of other benefits. My understanding is that physical health is supported by three pillars: sleep, nutrition, and fitness. I'm a shift worker. I worked in very irregular hours. My sleep pattern is being disturbed constantly. Sometimes eating healthy is a challenge. I stay seated in the cockpit for hours on end. It makes my lifestyle very sedentary. So here I was one day in another hotel room and I was binging on YouTube trying to find ways to take care of my health. And I found plenty of content about fasting.
Would know that in human history, fasting is considered one of the healthiest things you can do.
So we're going to talk today about fasting.
Millions of people have tried intermittent fasting.
It seemed like it was everywhere. And two podcasts grabbed my attention particularly. One was with Tom Bilun and the other one, the Stephen Bartlett, The Diary of CEO. And both of them have invited Dr. Mindy Pills. She presented fasting, intermittent fasting, and any form of fasting with so much convictions.
And my body is so smart that what it does is it says, to your point, hey, word, there's no food coming in. So we're going to click over into another fuel source called ketones. And we're going to make this ketone by burning fat.
Where do I start? I'm sold. You sold me on fasting. I'm going to become a faster. Where do I start, Mindy?
Yeah, I was sold. Here I am committing myself for a 3 days water fast, and it does require some preparation if you want to optimize the process. However, I did not prepare anything and I just jumped straight into it. Now, listen to something very important. I am not a doctor, I am not a physician, and I am essentially healthy. All my markers are in the green. I am not super fit, but I am definitely healthy. Any one of us has any doubts or any condition, it is absolutely essential to talk with a practitioner or with a doctor. I was also wearing a little medical device called a CGM, continuous glucose monitoring, which is a little coin-sized device which you apply on the skin. There is a little probe which looks like a small wire that goes just under the skin. It transmits in real time the glucose level in our body to an application on the phone typically. I use that just to have a look at my glucose level in my blood, and this is all it does. It measures glucose level in the blood. I was wearing this glucose monitoring system during the entire experience for the tendency. I was not looking at the absolute values, but I was more looking at the trend. Those devices are often prone to errors. Some people even don't recommend it at all. Now let's come back to the 3 days fasting, and it's really important to understand that humans are machine built to and perfectly adapted to a world of hunters and gatherers. In the modern world of today, we are not hunters and gatherers anymore. Our body is meant to alternate from fasting period to feasting period, depending on the presence of food or not. In a period of abundance of food, our body will extract and use this energy under the form of sugar and convert the surplus of sugar, of energy, into fat. And this fat is then stored into our organs, into our muscles, and our fatty tissues. When food becomes scarce, our body starts tapping into the fat storage. Our body is a glucose factory. We have 4 main hormones. We have more than that, but 4 main hormones which are only designed to increase the glucose level in our body. Those hormones are cortisol, glucagon, adrenaline, and human growth hormone as well. On the other hand, we only have one hormone which is designed to cope with spikes of glucose, and this is the famous insulin. The only purpose of insulin is basically to signal the body to prioritize the consumption of the glucose from the food we've just ingested and to stop using the fat that we have stored in our body. Every time we have a meal, all the carbohydrate we ingest turns into glucose as we digest it. This glucose makes its way into our bloodstream. The concentration of glucose starts increasing as rapidly as our food is rich in carbohydrates. The body detects this sudden rise of glucose and orders a discharge of insulin via our pancreas. Now, as a result of this discharge of insulin, the glucose level may start to decrease too quickly or for too long, dropping below the glucose baseline, causing a sudden glucose crash. This creates craving, hunger, fatigue, which will in turn trigger another hormone, ghrelin, also known as the hunger hormone. And before we know it, we find ourselves looking for food again and repeating this cycle all day long. This is called the glucose roller coaster. This is Olivier, a couple of days later back in Saigon. I'm not sure I've clearly mentioned the goals of the 72 hours water fast. It allows the body to switch to an alternative source of energy from sugar burning into fat burning through the production of ketones. These ketones will convert the fat back into energy, thus recycling the old energy storage. As a consequence, it will generate an avalanche of other beneficial hormones. It will increase focus and it will eliminate brain fog. So it's important to understand that it is not a weight loss diet, but weight loss may happen as a consequence, as a result. Now let's go back to Foucault. The longer and the steeper this roller coaster goes on, the more damages it causes to our body. Our mitochondria, which are the small thing responsible to create energy for our body, will suffer from that. As a result, it produces plenty of nasty things such as erosions of our cartilage, inflammations, brain fog, mental health issues, chronic disease, skin problems, and the list goes on and on. Now let's see together my experience as a faster for 3 days. On day 1, I made the mistake to start right after we went to a ramen restaurant. We began this fasting at 18:30 in the afternoon with a noticeable spike of glucose triggering a discharge of insulin. And then at around 10 o'clock, we can see a glucose crash, which I couldn't feel at all. And it's a perfect example and illustration of this glucose roller coaster effect. Went to bed at around 11 o'clock, another crash at around 2 o'clock, and we'll see that it's constant over the next 3 days. I couldn't feel it at all because I was sleeping. Got up at around 7:30 And in the morning, I wasn't particularly hungry at all. I would say a hunger level of 5 out of 10, which is perfectly manageable, with a crash at around 11:30 or around noon, which I couldn't feel at all. And the way went on, and we can see the glycemia is very, very stable. My hunger level, my general hunger level during the day is about 4 out of 10. On day 2, we can see another example of a glucose crash at around 1:30 in the morning, and I was sleeping, so I couldn't feel it at all. I woke up pretty fit. The hunger sensation was around 5 out of 10, which is perfectly manageable. In the afternoon, I had some studying to do for my job, and I did that in 2 different periods, between 3 and 7, and between 8:30 and around 10:30. Very easy to focus, good attention span during the work, and my general hunger level during the day was 5 out of 10. Here as well, no dizziness and no fatigue. On day 3, we can perfectly see that my glucose level went a little bit below the baseline. We can see another one of this glucose crash at around 2:30 in the morning, which I couldn't feel at all. I got up at around 7:30 again. It was a slow morning. I didn't do much. It was easy for me to focus and to read. And in the afternoon, I had a pretty good motivation to do a home project, which I procrastinated for a very long time, which was hanging pictures on the wall. And even though I was not feeling a lot of energy, I was taking regular breaks and I was drinking a lot at that point. But I got the project done because my motivation was really high, and my hunger level varied between 5 and 10 during the morning, at around, I would say, 6 to 7 during the afternoon. Perfectly manageable. And then at around, I would say, 8:30 in the evening, after 73 hours of fasting, I broke the fast. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. And we went to a Korean barbecue. So essentially eating a lot of meat, a lot of protein. The next time I have a few days of vacation with the ability to fast for 3 up to 5 days, I will prepare it in such a way that my ketone levels are already pretty high in my body at the start of the fasting, and making sure that the glucose level is already pretty low by avoiding any processed food, any pasta, any rice, any bread, anything which contains starch, and which in turn will increase the fasting period. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching.